Letters from the Future. Law and ethics regarding time travel. The concept of time travel has not only made its way into your fictional stories, but it has also sparked interest within your field of science. As a voice from the future, the veracity of such technology eventually coming to pass may now seem inevitable. But unfortunately, this isn't necessarily the case. I have come from one of many potential timelines that exist in the future. The question regarding which one depends on the decisions made as the result of passing through certain crossroads. One of the laws we have discovered that pertains to time travel is that there is a restriction on not how much information can be shared with past timelines, but what kind of information can be shared. We have discovered that time travel technology operates only when free will has been left intact. That is to say, one can share information that relates to what a particular timeline may look like, but one is restricted in describing the way in which the circumstances actually came to pass. Those decisions have to be left to the people in that timeline, thus leaving their free will intact. One might assume that any sort of communication from the future must affect the decisions yet to be made. Therefore, an encroachment of free will has been committed, and that is true. However, the reason the law has not been broken is due to the fact that time travel isn't believed to be possible in your present time. So any information that claims to be from the future must be simply fabricated by some author of your day, leaving you as the reader free to choose whether to believe this information is from the future or not. This law regarding free will is embedded in the fabric of reality, so much so that if it is not adhered to, the technology simply doesn't work. Apart from this technology, we, as a civilization in your future in the year 2467, discovered long ago that the free will of a people is crucial for true peace to manifest. It became abundantly clear to us that whenever the will of a people has been suppressed for any length of time in order to create a superficial form of peace, the effort inevitably backfires, worsening the situation for all parties involved. It's as if the will of a people is a powerful spirit that, when blocked, builds pressure until, like a dam bursting, it releases devastation upon the people downstream. An essential extension of the law of free will is free speech. By definition, free will cannot exist if free speech is in any way coerced, whether by an individual or a group. For the will of a people to be genuinely realized, the public sphere must be free to think and discuss all issues openly. The decision to enter your present at this particular moment in time is due to the increasing attacks on free speech, which in turn obstructs free will. Under these circumstances, our time travel technology operates with the greatest of ease. Furthermore, the author of these messages is restricted from explaining in detail how this technology works. In addition, much about time travel remains unknown to the author. Should any specifics about its mechanics be shared, making it seem more plausible, the connection itself would cease to exist. That said, anyone is welcome to ask questions regarding the information being shared or any other inquiries, as long as they don't violate the ethical guidelines of time travel. All appropriate inquiries may be posted in the comments section, and I will endeavor to address them in upcoming letters. However, questions such as who will win an election or which sports team will triumph cannot be answered. There are two reasons for this. First, since timelines are affected by every decision at every point in time, any prediction we might offer at a detailed level would be no more accurate than chance. Secondly, sharing such information is discouraged due to the potential for misuse, which could sever the connection between our realities. Moreover, questions aimed solely at personal gratification are seen as a waste of resources. The main factor that allows us to use time travel is that you have already identified the attack on free speech and have made substantial moves to protect this fundamental right. By you making this first move, this in turn gives us the approval to move ahead. In essence, we did not influence this decision. You, as a people, chose to correct this potential path to tyranny by the use of your free will. Therefore, we can show you what is installed on this timeline. If, on the other hand, no decision on your part was made to block the rise of domination and control, according to our calculations, time travel would never be discovered due to the suppression of innovation that always goes hand in hand with a tyrannical form of government. The fundamental law of free will, together with free speech, can never be overstated, as it is indeed the only way the essence, or what can be called the spirit of an individual, relates to other individuals as a whole. This spirit is the essence of life that has its origins spanning back to its very conception billions of years ago. Simple life forms, such as single-celled entities, exhibit their essence as a result of an embedded memory. Similarly, with more complicated life forms, such as plants, they too have a self-acting component, but in addition, begin to interact with their environment by the use of photosynthesis, nutrients from soil and water. This hierarchy of living entities continues with insects and then animals. At this point, it can be said that animals possess a form of consciousness that we as humans are able to interact with, be it that there is evidence that plants and insects possess a kind of consciousness, a somewhat more simple kind of consciousness. Nevertheless, it is a little too far removed for humans to interact with at a conscious level. On the other hand, we can interact with animals rather well. At the top of this hierarchy of living entities, we have the Homo sapiens. Here, consciousness has reached the stage where it can interact with all simpler forms of life in some way or fashion that, in effect, can enhance a given ecosystem or destroy it. Furthermore, human consciousness has reached a level where it can interact with not only life on planet Earth, but even begin to travel to otherworldly bodies within the solar system, and again, in order to enhance the solar system or destroy it. As I stated earlier, this communication comes from the year 2467. We developed time travel technology long ago, at a time when innovation and creativity began to truly flourish. In hindsight, this aligned with a self-prophesied narrative that relates to the Age of Aquarius. The qualities related to the Age of Aquarius have, in most ways, come to pass. For example, this age is said to be a time of rebirth, renewal, and social, technological, and spiritual transformation. People will be more receptive to new ideas, innovations, and global cooperation during this time. Additionally, over the last few centuries, we have developed a more refined sense of responsibility that goes hand in hand with freedom. People in general have developed a more intelligent, critical thought process, and together with being more conscientious, we have learned to participate in a larger system and care about the greater good. Not to be confused with the idea of the greater good above the individual, which has been propagated by many flawed ideologies you have experienced, but rather, as we have come to realize, if the greater good doesn't include the good of the individual, this understanding of what good is falls drastically short of what can be considered good at all. For example, if a group of people live under the former idea of the greater good, it is far too easy to implement any sort of unjust war, under the pretense that any number of individuals have the moral obligation to become no more than cannon fodder. On the other hand, if a group of people is genuinely under threat from another group, as long as the threat is genuine, individuals are more than eager to protect their livelihood. This slight yet crucial shift in understanding introduces a fail-safe mechanism that prevents any certain small group of oligarchs from creating a false war. Then, by the use of the old idea of the greater good, shame individuals into battle. Another characteristic expressed as an attribute related to the Age of Aquarius, and has come to be realized as important in our time, is the idea of following the guidance of the heart, not meaning to operate from a purely emotional standpoint, but together with the intellect. This form of being is considered truly intelligent. The individual's intellect with a poor connection with the guidance of the heart not only proves to exhibit a lack of creativity, but, more to the point, proves to be a precursor to psychopathy. And finally, another attribute that was predicted in the Age of Aquarius is that of a spiritual one. People will begin to seek answers in the spiritual realm to adopt a deeper connection with themselves and the universe. And indeed, this too has come to pass. This form of spirituality is the result of an evolved understanding that includes much of the past religious teachings, yet has evolved substantially so as to make atheism a thing of the past. As you may have noticed, I have refrained from giving any exact dates for when the above shifts actually occurred. This is because, as we have looked into many possible timelines ranging from your point in time to ours, we notice that these shifts occurred at different intervals in regards to different timelines, suggesting that you in your present timeline may implement any of these shifts at will. This holds true for all future shifts under discussion. It came as a surprise to some of our scientists to discover an ethical nature embedded within the mechanics of time travel. As we refined the technology and achieved multiple successful attempts, we deduced that a universal order exists within reality, an order that must be respected so as to uphold what we have come to understand as the purpose of existence. This purpose is to allow the creation of life to grow and prosper, or not, in accordance with its inherent essence, which has guided life from its inception to the present. This ethical law, espoused to time travel, has been integrated into many cultures that were formerly associated with the West. It has successfully become a part of the basis for understanding what is regarded as morality. This, together with another scientific advancement, which we will cover in the next letter, is why, over time, atheism began to wane. In your present, atheists argue against the relevance of morality derived from religious sources, pointing out the absurdities of certain past and present actions and beliefs associated with religion. And if one is truly impartial, it is undeniable that atheists make valid points. On the other hand, many religious teachings provide benefits and serve as the foundation for the structures that shape culture, offering cohesion to civilization. As soon as this dilemma was resolved, it was as if a dark shroud was lifted from every individual, ushering in a period of mass increase in creativity, coupled with cooperation that led to a stable form of productivity. I say stable, because productivity taken to the extreme is neither good for the individual nor the planet. It feeds a materialistic type of ethos that ultimately not only places pressure on the planet for resources and causes excessive waste, but also, for the individual, feeds a solely materialistic worldview of the self that leads to depression, nihilism, and, in the extreme, psychopathy. Instead, the stable form of productivity that manifested was due to the inclusion of spirituality. We as a civilization in your future concluded that if the human psychology is denied some form of spiritual understanding and depends on a purely mechanistic belief, it will seek to fill the lack by accumulating as many material things as possible. But the truth of the matter is, there is no substitute for spirituality, psychologically speaking. Therefore, one can never be truly satisfied, leading the individual to pursue an unattainable goal. Ad infinitum. We will go further into this, and much more, as well as talk about the other scientific advancement that became a part of the basis for understanding morality in our second letter from the future. Thank you for listening, and peace be with you.